Hey, what's up everybody? Rob Satch from Feedbackwrench. I do videos in my car, but we have a little digital marketing company. And I want to talk to you if you own a junk company. I want to give you a couple of quick tips about how to drive some increased impressions for your organic SEO. How do you show up on Google for more results? Now, I have another video that talked about kind of what are the core tenets of your advertising or your marketing, right? And in that video, I hit on a couple of things. You know, what should your website be geared towards? How do you balance Google Home Services between Google Ads as well as some of the other advertising? Should you use Facebook? So check out that other video. If you go to my website, you can check it out. It'll be in the description, the link to that video or to that article, and then an article on my website. Now, here's what I want to talk about is one thing that if you do it on your website will help you start to rank for a whole bunch more organic keywords and will start to drive some good results for you. Now, again, my other videos talk about that. One of the core things you're going to realize about the junk industry is if your region has the home services or the Google guarantee, which is different than your Google My Business, which is confusing. So you got Google Home Services and Google My Business. If you are in those, what you'll have to do is you'll know that the majority of your business over time is starting to use that Google Home Services, which is a Google guarantee. Essentially what you do is you advertise with them after you get approved. And the way you get approved is you do a background check for you and anybody who goes into the homes. They do an insurance check to make sure that you're an insured employer or you have business insurance. And then you will have to advertise with them. And you pick a weekly budget that you'll assign to that. And what you'll notice is the search engine result pages right now, if you search your core junk removal, junk disposal, junk pickup, furniture removal, furniture pickup, furniture recycling, those keywords all have the search engine result page contains on the very top is your local or your Google Home Services or your Google guarantee. It's like its own little feature. Underneath that, you have paid search advertising. There's usually between 1 and 3 spots, usually 3. And then underneath that, you have your Google My Business. Now, again, your Google Home Services is its own little thing. You have to go through that approval. And if you pay, you'll get raised to the top of that. But it will also show stars there in your reviews. Now, when you hit Google Home Services, it's very much to drive a phone call. That's really what's happening there. So they'll call you, and that's super helpful. One little tip would be that you could use CallRail to record or track those phone numbers. You know, CallRail is a really great tool to, in an inexpensive way, have phone call tracking so that you can know how many calls you got. It will feed into Google Analytics. You can even record your phone calls to see how your sales team is doing. But neither here nor there. You could have one phone number for the Google Home Services, another phone number for Google My Business or different locations, different ads and whatnot to see how things are performing. Anyways, let's keep going. Those three, that Google Home Services is going to be dominant, right? But that's for your core commercial keywords, junk removal, junk disposal. There is another keyword you'll want to go after, and that would be your competitors, right? We all know that good old 1-800-GOT-JUNK has done a little bit of advertising in the United States, and people tend to look for 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And I'll tell you, there's some amazing ways that you can steal their traffic with Google Ads and to optimize your ads without breaking their copyright strikes. So just so you know, if you like the idea of setting that up and getting that going, we can help you out with that. I love helping. And our company is pretty cool. We got a small team of 4 of us here. We're out of Minneapolis, and we're able to deliver results with paid advertising and websites that are really amazing. But now let's jump into these specific kind of next steps, because while those are your core commercial keywords drive those Google My Business, drive everything else, there's a whole bunch of other keywords that are relevant to you, right? Like spa removal or couch removal or some of these other keywords that are really kind of bizarre. And the tip that I have is that when you build your website, what you should do is you should spend some time having a what we take. Go to 1-800-GOT-JUNK and take a look at that system that they have. And if you develop a what we take and you really kind of think through, and then create some good content around that, so that your website has, a page dedicated to each thing that you might take. And it's not like small things, but it'd be mattresses and couches and beds and spas and pools and concrete rubble, office debris, chairs. Think through all of the different, old construction material, if yard waste, yard pickup, anything that you actually carry, you'll want to have a system where that's kind of easy to select, but then it has its own web page actually. And when we build websites, we have this kind of user interface where you can select and see everything that they would collect. But here's what I'll tell you. We hook up our websites to some different SEO tools like Ahrefs, Ahrefs. And what we've seen is that when you take a good website and then you overlay this system in there with content that communicates what you take, suddenly your Google My Business and your website will start to trigger for more keywords than what you did before. Now that doesn't mean you're going to be at the top, right? But the idea is that your Google My Business and your website will start, you will have a higher ability to rank for some of these keywords, or to even show up in Google. And remember that here's the principle. Your Google My Business is often, we've seen, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, maybe somebody will come on here from Google and say that I'm wrong, but what we've found is that Google My Business, you can optimize it by putting your services information, you can make posts and everything, but it certainly seems like Google My Business is intertwined to your website's overall SEO, and that the signals that your website is sending to Google, which there's probably 200 signals that help with ranking factors, but that website is informing how the Google My Business will end up ranking. So long story short, the best thing you can do to help your Google My Business is to help your website rank really well for those keywords. So what we saw is that you will start to get a massive influx of keyword impressions or search impressions as you add in a system where what you carry is actually built out and fleshed out, and that will help drastically with your organic SEO. Now, here's what I want to do real quick. I want to shift into how do you actually get your company to start ranking high above everybody else. And folks, what you should know about is Google's EAT principle. And this isn't like a hard, fast rule. Essentially, as you start diving in, Google has provided some documents to their teams, and it's in particular, it's this document about human verifiers. So they have people that go out and verify search results. It's not just machine driven. And there was a document and a series of documents, some supporting articles that have come out from the Google Webmaster Console YouTube channel and whatnot, that says that the way that Google tends to look into this EAT principle, or it's a good framework to think about how do you get your website to rank better. And basically what it is Google's kind of like a dad, and their searchers kind of like their daughter. So I have 3 daughters. I love them dearly, and my heart longs for them to have an excellent husband someday. And when that happens, when that boy shows up, I tell you what, I'm going to be scrutinizing the heck out of him. And so what you would see is Google is essentially saying, you, a provider, a website, a junk company, trying to get up with their junk searchers, they're going to scrutinize you, right? And the way they scrutinize you is they're looking for providers, companies, websites, and web pages that show expertise, that are authoritative, and that are trustworthy. Expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And there's no single way to do this, but what you will find is that there's a combination of how your on-page content gets consumed, like on-page signals of just when you serve up a web page that says junk removal Lakeville, Minnesota, when people get to that web page, do they use it? Do they convert on it? Or do they bounce right out of it every time? Over time, Google sees that your overall website and each individual page is really almost like a piece of food that you're serving up to that end user, right? Hey, I want some food, you serve it up, and it's paying attention to see how that web page and your overall website is being handled. How do you handle your guests? How do you handle those that it serves you up to? And we don't know one metric, but it's basically you want to make sure that you make your user interface and focus on your end user and solve the queries that you're attempting to solve. And that could be everything from, an authoritative guide on where do you recycle in your city to what are the best places to donate furniture to, or where do you donate furniture to, or maybe you write up a guide that talks about here are the places that you could rent a pickup or have trash haul away. And maybe you make a great guide, but in the beginning of that guide you insert yourself of, hey, if you're looking to rent U-Hauls, here are all the U-Haul places around here. We've reviewed them, but call us. We'd like to help you instead if you're looking to get rid of anything or whatever it is, right? So ultimately, how your content actually gets used is one of the key. It's a major thing, right? If Google sees that, doggone it, people love this content, they're not going to keep people from it, right? So that's one major factor. Is just remember, when you're making your websites, when you're writing, you're not just shoving keyword stuff in there. You really want to make sure that it's useful, helpful stuff. And then you get into this trustworthiness, right? Now, trustworthiness and authoritativeness probably go hand in hand. There's a whole bunch of people that do more thinking about this. What we do know is that if you can have some good Google reviews, Facebook reviews, Yelp reviews, it seems to inform that you're trustworthy. Another way that you show that you're trustworthy is that you can attract votes of confidence from other websites in the form of high quality backlinks. So if you can get, a company like mine, for example, to use you as a source, as the authority, or even on a Chamber of Commerce website, or maybe the small businesses around you, if you can organize a way that you can get your website featured or quoted on other websites so that there's a hyperlink back to you, what we know is that Google seems to consider, the quality of that website and the quality of that link to you, and it's a major factor. It's always been a major factor of how you will rank in Google. So again, your on page, how is your website and your web pages getting used? That's a major thing. Are people consuming your content? The second thing would be, do you have votes of confidence? Do you have reviews? Do you have a good web footprint overall? That's going to help you with organic SEO. And that's about it. There's a lot of people out there that'll be, I'm going to shove you in 1 million citation machines and we charge you this and that. And, I think that in my previous video I said it's good to have your core citations. And this is just your listings, right? Google My Business, Bing Places, Yelp, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Make sure that you're open on all the social media. You might want to use Bright Local and spend $100 to do a citation burst every year that will keep you up in these aggregators, but they're not significant drivers of SEO. Investing in high quality content that people actually consume is super helpful, but mainly for you guys, there's not that much information about, short of mattresses, pools, spas, and maybe debris. Like, you could get into some different things there. You could do listicles about things around your community, right? But the most important thing would be you get backlinks to your website, because your content, you could invest in lots of content for your end user, but what I've found, it doesn't work very well. One thing you could do is you could help people start their own junk company, and provide resources about what you've learned in the junk industry and write about that on your blogs, and then invite other junk companies outside of your region where you're not competitive to backlink to you. You reach out and you do some things there. But SEO is not easy. The main thing is getting lots of great reviews and if you get lots of reviews, and maybe showcase your customer testimonials. One thing that we'll do for SEO is we build into a lot of these websites, we call it a check-in feature, where you go to the bottom of the website, you hit check-in, and it's password protected just for you, and there's a little form there where what you can do, and then we help you update this, but in that form, you would take a couple pictures, you'd upload up to 5 pictures, and it'd be like, okay, we're in Lakeville, Minnesota, we're removing a couch. You would put a little title, a little blib, and then you would actually check in on location of where you are. And what we do is we grab the location schema data and we bring that over onto the website as just a check-in update, right? And over time, what happens is we will actually post these into a system within your website. There's a local, what is it, Local Now or Local, there's a couple of different apps out there that do this, but the idea is as you do these check-ins in your local areas, eventually what will happen is Google starts to see this location data embedded into your website. And if you do one for each city, so maybe you have a specific page for each city that actually has quality information about that city, and then you start having these check-ins about, hey, I was doing trash removal or doing couch removal, mattress removal, appliance removal in this area, and you have, and then you just put little boxes down there and it just feeds itself. What you'll see is that it tends to rank really high. There's a lot of industries that have used this in the past, and it can help. It's not a game. The idea is to show that you're in this area, that you take care of that business. So, folks, if you're trying to build your junk company, we do everything from building your website to your marketing system to your paid ads, and we'll make sure that you are doing everything possible to get the best ROI on your advertising dollar out there. And I tell you what, we have retainer relationships where we handle this for people, but a lot of times what we do is we swoop in and we optimize your ads, we optimize your website or build out your website and your brand and establish your messaging, and we just get it all set up for you and then release it to you. So you can take the money that you would be paying an agency and you can dump it into your ads, which is super important, because I think what you'll find out there is so much of your business is driven by your home services ads, which is pretty dummy proof. Anyways, good luck, God bless. Check out feedbackwrench.com.